The Misfit CEO, a GVK series. Gary Von Kennel began his career as a Gillette Territory sales rep. He progressed to become the manager of brand promotions at Miller Brewing Company. After co-founding Target Marketing with David Deacon Jones and co-founding MultiDimension, Gary would become CEO of TRACEY Lock, CEO of MFS&P, CEO of Rap Collins USA, and global CEO of Rap Worldwide, all divisions of Omnicom.
My name is Gary Von Kennel, 72 years old, and I, in my opinion, have had kind of an interesting life. I'm just a guy from Chillicothe, Ohio, whose biggest claim to fame has been being in a garage rock band called VK and the Vagabonds, and suddenly I'm on private jets owned by the Miller Brewing Company, going to meetings and being involved in campaigns and conversations that are changing an industry. I was in the Cola Wars. I left every Sunday night, flew to 2 or 3 different cities after I went to New York to meet with the Pepsi people, and I did this for probably 15 straight months. Had no idea that these names of people that I was in meetings with and presenting to and making some headway with were going to become icons in the industry. The Cola Wars was the biggest advertising event probably in the history of the United States. I became ultimately the worldwide CEO of the world's, at that time, largest direct marketing company, and the company did better than $1 billion a year. I was a misfit CEO, and I had some success, much to my surprise and much to the total surprise of many people. And I knew some things, I learned some things, and I watched some things that I'd like to share with you. I've created a video series that I will tell you things that happen in the business world, in the C room, that might give you a heads up as to how to make a correction, an observation, or an advancement in your career. I'm going to introduce you to some people who you might have heard of and might have seen. And what I know is that they have interesting stories to share about challenges they overcame to be successful. Some of these people have titles and responsibilities that are amazing. I know these people, they're friends of mine, and I'm asking awkward questions and they're laughing and smiling because they have always thought it makes no sense for Gary to even be in these conversations. I'm comfortable with that. You know, I knew a person that ultimately was the most powerful female at Omnicom worldwide, and she was Bono's first CEO when he created the company Red. She's won all kind of awards, been on TV many, many times, but you know, Susan Ellis is a straight up, funny, level-headed, great person to talk to. How did you break through and be so listened to? Because I'm honest to God, I never thought of you as a woman. I just thought of you, I really did, as somebody who could get a problem solved and get the ball moving, because I always seem to represent conflict, and you were the opposite. So how did you do that?
Well, again, I think, I've said this before, publicly and privately. I'm a middle child, and I swear to God, I think that when you're a middle child, you're always the one that's kind of getting everybody together and getting people to get along. And I think it's in my personality. I don't like shouting. I don't like conflict. I'm not afraid of conflict, and I'm happy to have conflict, but I'm much more likely to say, if there are warring parties, to get them together and make them talk to each other in my presence versus hearing this person's problem and that person's problem and trying to solve it myself.
Mike Rawlings, yes, CEO of Pizza Hut. Yes, he was the CEO of a major advertising agency. Yes, he was the mayor of Dallas for 8 years successfully. Mike Rawlings, he's a good guy. He's a real person, and he's fun to talk to. How about you? Did you have any challenges?
Oh, no question. And probably the biggest challenge was that I did love sports and football so much. And since I was a bigger guy, okay, I mean, guess what I was? Okay, I was a dumb jock. Yeah. And with that came just the assumption that you really couldn't think through problems, that you weren't the intellectual leader that other people were. Furthermore, I probably didn't learn, I was a little shy about expressing complicated issues, and so I shut up about that. And I didn't learn how to explain things clearly and thoroughly the way I should have in high school and college. I remember taking a speech class in college, and I was terrible about it because I didn't understand those things. And so it wasn't until working in the advertising agency that we worked at did I understand how I had to simplify things, speak slowly, not try to use fancy words, but just communicate. Someone once said, it's not about the speech you make, it's about how well you communicate to the other person. And understanding that insight, then I started thinking about communication in a totally different fashion. But that was a major personal challenge for me.
CLAUDIA has been on the TV stations, various stations in the Mexican community, as well as a marketer, as well as a TV announcer. She's amazing.
But it's very important to consider Latinos or Hispanic or Latinx. It's important to see them more like a rainbow, right? It's really there. You will find all kinds of colors. Some are at the top, some are at the bottom. We're talking socioeconomic level. We're talking education level. But everybody is different. Everybody has different experiences. And about the language in particular, yes, Puerto Rican Spanish and Mexico Spanish is very different.
And you would instantly, if you walked into a room and talked to different people, you would say, I know where you're from.
Oh, definitely. And that's so important, within marketing, to have people, when you're targeting a campaign for Latinos or Hispanics or Latinx, it is very important to have savvy cultural expert.
And this is a lady that the minute you meet her, you have to realize you are going to be into a very intense conversation. You're going to smile a lot, and you're going to take a deep breath when it's over.
Having a passion for solving problems with engineering. And I went to go work for Procter & Gamble right out of school as an engineer doing product development, developing soaps and detergents. And while I was in that job, discovered through a mentor that I had a knack for consumer insights and product positioning. And so my mentor said, have you ever thought about going on the brand or the marketing side of the organization? Because it would be really good to have someone who knows how to create our products on the side that are marketing our products, not over-promising a bunch of stuff. I was like, no, I had never thought about it. He said, go shadow a brand manager. And so that's what I did. And that's how my kind of love for marketing actually started.
So in 1999, I'd been in Dallas for like 18 years. I walked into a restaurant with an associate from New York City, and I stopped in my tracks. I saw through the bar and at the back a gentleman that I knew was going to be at minimum the maitre d'. The thing that made it interesting to me is he had his eyes directly on me. And he walked up through this crowd and he was talking to everybody, moving. He said, I'm Al Burnett. It's nice to see you. And I got to know Al over the course of time, and I've been to the French Laundry and the best restaurants in the world. I've never met anybody like Albernay and how he runs his restaurant. It's amazing. I think when you're in the restaurant business, your definition, and I'd like to have your definition of marketing, is different from if you're selling soap or beer or soft drinks.
The four-wall marketing is everything possibly you can do to not only capture your attention, because they say if you come one time and you have a bad experience, you won't come back. Most likely. You might try it, but most likely you won't. If you have a good experience and you come back, after coming in on a steady basis, let's say 3 times a month for like a couple months, you're kind of hooked. And like you always taught me, you know, and we talked about this, when you capture someone's name, you kind of capture them, you know, because it's, you told me this too, we talked about this before, because people want to feel like they found a home.
That's right.
So it's just, it's not just a restaurant, but now it's becoming like their home too, and you're part of the family type thing.
Come along with me and let's talk to some people who have had incredible careers and incredible success. This is not in an education format. This is not in a school curriculum. This is me talking to friends of mine, asking them intimate and important questions as to what did they do and what would they suggest to help other people make the right decisions in their careers.